It's party time. Happy New Year. I'm Lynn Serrano. And who the hell are you?
I'm here. Woo!
And who are you?
I'm Brian Kelm.
All right. Hey, you guys. You're probably wondering, what the hell? There we go. Wait.
Lynn's co-host.
That's right.
Her co-host.
Yeah, that co-host. There we go. How you doing? Oh, yeah, wait. This way, right? Yeah, how you doing?
It's just like backing up a trailer. It's opposite,
And being dyslexic, I already do things opposite to know the opposite. It's really effed up, man. I gotta
What hand am I holding up, left or right?
I don't know. Hey, you guys, this is so exciting. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm sure you want to say Happy New Year too, Brian.
Oh, Happy New Year. 2021 is here.
It is, Brian, and let me tell you, it's I don't drink, and I drank last night, and I apologize to everybody, but I am human, and I didn't send out the notice when we were going to do this, and I changed the time like 5, 6, 7 times, but it's our show. Brian loves me with my flaws, and that's how we're going to go. And so I really want to thank you guys for being here. The real and raw is us being unscripted, just being who we are, sharing our viewpoints, and want to help and impact as many people as we can on the way to let you know to be empowered in your own being. And we want to embrace who you are. We want to help you be the best you can be. This morning, I went live. I'll tell you what, my personal live on my personal page was something that I think people are going to think the apocalypse came, because I never verbally told people how prophetic and how intuitive I am, and I let it out to the world that I am, and I've hidden that from many people because I don't believe in being labeled psychic or medium or any of these things. I am who I am, and I believe in Jesus and stuff. So I've struggled with the talents and gifts and the things I know and have said. So, but this is who I am. This year, I hope to lose 50 to 100 pounds. But my word, I never did a word till last year, and it was do it anyways. And so I did do it anyways last year. And it wasn't till this morning, because last night on my 3-hour show, I said, I don't believe in words. I'm not going to do that. But God gave me a word, and I'm going for it. It's called vulnerability. And the fact that vulnerability, and Brian came up with the words of real and raw, it's going to fit. This show is going to be different than my other show too, because I'm going to share nuggets of who I am that people have not known, and I'm just going to be as real as I can. And we need more real, authentic people and not cookie cutters. The world needs that more now than ever. So, Brian, thank you for being in my life, and your energy allows me to truly feel comfortable in my skin. And the fact that you love me and know me and respect me and being different than you, I thank you so much going forward. So how about for you?
I mean, it's just so cool about how, a lot of people have looked at 2020 now that it's in the past, and they're like, oh, there wasn't anything good that came out of it. And I'd be willing to challenge that understanding. I think that we've reveled in the negative, and we all know what that is. But there was good things that came out of 2020 if we really look closely at it. And I think that by somebody's response to that, like, if I say to somebody that there was good that came out of 2020, and if they look at me or shake their head, I automatically know where their mind is. And one of the great things that came out of 2020 is the power of of the platform, of how we can share information, of meeting you through the Grow Live Academy, of wanting to hone our skills, wanting to help, wanting to be vulnerable for everybody that watches. Now, I want to be very clear with everybody. This show is not to change anybody, do any of that. What it is for is to get you to see possible blind spots that you've never thought about, because they're a blind spot. Every human being has those. And if you're willing to get access to yourself, give yourself a little space. This is not a show of measurement or comparison about how my life is to yours. That's not what this is for. This is about getting access, having a conversation, to interact with us. We get to interact with you and have some fun, but also they'll be vulnerable and human beings together.
And to be real. And I mean, I had to get really real with myself, and even with my show this morning, or my personal video I did this morning. I got real and said, you know what? I lost my job, and people didn't even know that. Lost my job because of COVID, and because I have asthma issues, I couldn't go back to work, and they let me go. And then unemployment's denied me since the end of July, so I haven't had a paycheck since July. I mean, that's just the real. I mean,
Right.
if I'm going to be vulnerable and real, but I found a passion of podcasting and this and that. So, I mean, and saying, hey, this is where I'm at. So the good thing is it allowed me. I had always said, I can't leave that job because I got to pay my mortgage, and I can't do this and that because of that. And I realized, you know what? Those were excuses. I have to fly the seat of my pants and realize it's okay to be vulnerable, be honest, and just be. So this is
well, and whatever party or whatever group you're a part of, there's always a group for wherever you are in the world. There's plenty of people that that are have the victim mentality and all of that. I got it. So they're gonna find people that are in that space, and there's gonna be other people that are fighting every day, working their butt off, learning, vulnerable. They fail 7 times to get up another. There's a group for everybody, but it's a matter of where you want to be. And here's the thing is that by stretching yourself, by challenging yourself and doing it every day, there's nobody that can take that away from you.
absolutely.
Nobody. And one of the things that there's 2 questions I ask myself every day. What are you going to do about it? And number 2 is, how can you afford not to?
I love it.
And the thing about it is that if somebody is going to get on my case about why I'm doing something, I completely brush it off, because I'm like, okay, that's them seeing something in me that they're not willing to do themselves. And that's not my problem.
Right.
I can help and guide them, but they have to take the ownership and the responsibility if they want that success.
And that's the thing. People don't seem to understand that
No.
getting the perspective that you assume that you know why somebody's doing something, you need to dig a little deeper and get to know who they are, to know what drives them to do what they're doing. And that's where we all falter. We all assume shit that we shouldn't be assuming, because it really makes an ass of you and me. And I don't sign up for assumptions.
Well, and the thing about it is that, it's crazy to me that somebody could say something about somebody that they've never met before. So everything is about what they're thinking about somebody that they don't even know. How ridiculous is that?
Well, it taints their experience, really. I've learned that, I mean, when people have told me to be aware of somebody or this or that, I mean, I've appreciated being cautious, because, I mean, sometimes you do have, you feel stranger danger and you got to tell people that. But don't taint the whole situation, because maybe it's your freaking energy that's tainting the situation, and you're bringing that debris to me with that person. So we are all individual, and we may associate, but you got to realize it's where we're at in life that connects us. So
well, and how far? Like let's just go with a little hypothetical situation. Okay, somebody that doesn't know somebody is talking to one of their friends. And they say, oh, how do you know that person? Oh, I've never met them. But they are that way.
Maybe because it was you and they acted that way. That's what I say about that. And I have learned that. I mean, I grew up being Puerto Rican in New York and having friends that just were so racist against Puerto Ricans. And the point was, it's like, you're talking to somebody that's Puerto Rican and you say all Puerto Ricans are like that. Okay. So that clearly let me know that that's their mindset, because they were fed that shit. And because of that, that's where they're at.
Well, it's kind of like that. And I'm sure there are many examples, but that crab in a jar or in a glass experiment thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, once a crab finds, that there's not a cap on it, they try to get their way up. But what does every other crab do?
Right.
They try to pull them back down. And
Absolutely.
It's like, how are you going to emerge if you care about what other people think? You have to free yourself from that if you are going to do things on your terms and not somebody else's.
Right. It's just like a bird. I mean, a bird goes ahead and you cut their wings and you put the top on there, their wings do grow back, but they have no idea. And the cage is not covered anymore, and they're not flying because they didn't realize their wings were cut. And we're the same way. We just, so we become chicken wings though.
It's 2021, 2021.
Don't be a chicken shit. We're humans.
Wow, we're within the first 10 minutes and we're already,
Hey, you guys, I'm sorry you're coming on now, and we changed the time so that people are like, "What the hell, man? I thought this was in an hour." Or wait,
it's all her
it's
fault.
all me, man.
Just
That's
kidding.
why I don't drink. A little wine. I got a little woozy. You saw my Happy New Year's last night. You'll see I'm like, Happy New Year's to you.
What was that? Pink Moscato? That was Pink Moscato?
No, it was actually regular Moscato, but I put these strawberries, and these strawberries got really swollen. They went from really, really dyed red to like champagne color.
So then let me guess, you ate them after too, so it gave you more alcohol.
I did, and I slept like a baby.
That's usually how it works, Lynn. That's usually how it works.
I'm just glad I didn't wake up with a hangover, people. So
otherwise, our show might be at 2:00 this afternoon.
And I think that's why I felt like, oh shit, I can give myself an hour. This will be our regular time slot, Monday through Friday. And right after my other show, it's, this is unscripted. And I apologize that some of you are catching the replay this time. But, it's the beginning of the year and it is what it is. And we're just thankful to be here. And we're going to share a lot of real and raw things in our life and just in general. And it's not going to be political or anything like that. It's just, this is all self-reflection. And if we can make you laugh for the experiences we've been through, hey, you should have a point of reference. Don't do what Lynn did. That's for sure.
Well, and also like through everything that happens to you in life, there's always a lesson to be learned, and I don't think that a lot of people, it seems like the more painful the lesson, the more that you stop and think and you don't do it again. But at the same time, everything that we witness in life, there's always a lesson. There's always an opportunity if we stop and look for it.
Yeah.
If it's kind of like reading books upon books upon books. If you're just to say, hey, I read all these books this year, what'd you learn? And then, there's a big question mark.
Or never applied, never applied. I'm not going to lie. I have Anthony Robbins' book, The Giant Within. I can't tell you how many times I've read the first 5-10 chapters. Shit, it gets hard. I never finish it. I'm like, this requires action. I'll get back to this later, But I can't tell you I read the whole damn thing. I'm not going to lie, because that would have been meaning to apply. And I didn't apply to the whole book. I mean, the first few pages are freaking like solid, highlighted and all this other stuff. But the rest of the book is so fresh, I don't even think the pages have a crinkle.
Oh, yeah, it smells like a new car.
Yeah.
You got Post-it notes and there's highlighters everywhere, but the book still smells brand new.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't want to interview authors, because I would hate to say, shit, I only read the first chapter. I'm not going to look like an idiot. I'm just saying.
Well,
but anyhow.
I know that from, I walk every day, and today was day number 341 in a row. And, like how they say it, people debate this in terms of how long it takes to develop a habit, but the latest was 66 days. Is day 52 or 54, somewhere in there. All of a sudden it came to me where I'm like, ooh, wow. I think that whole thing that they talk about where it becomes habit is now in my brain. It just kind of magically happens where it's like you do it so often, now it's not negotiable. And
exactly.
Reading is no different. Some people's best energy and most creative side is in the morning, afternoon, evening, whatever that is. Just like writing a book or anything major that you're up to, you do it day by day. You don't do it all in a day.
Yeah, I've got some books to write, and I hear you, man. And I know you write. I think you inspire me to write. But, this morning I personally shared something that, it's talk about just being vulnerable. I mean, I shared this morning why I did one of my shows with Michelle McKenzie, and she had lost a brother, and I lost a mother and then a brother. But what was really, really hard was I told everybody, and I've been telling everybody, and you heard me last time when my sister-in-law showed up, that, I lost a brother. But what I hadn't shared with everybody is why that hurts me so much is because no one knew that that's the second brother I lost in my life. And I never shared that before with anybody until this morning. And the thing is back in, my mom was married and had 5 kids before. And then it's a long story, but the bottom line story is I found my brother 3 months before he died. And my brother actually had AIDS. And this is 1990. My daughter was 9 months old. And I was ignorant enough not to hug my brother in the hospital because I didn't want my daughter to die. You know how ignorant, how terrible I felt to this day. And I've carried that with me. Yeah. And then, so when my other brother died, it's like, I didn't lose one. It's been a trigger of 2 brothers I've lost. And the last 4 years, I could never say that out loud. Now my kids know about their uncle because I ended up with his ashes, and I used to keep it in my back of my car, in the trunk. I mean, I've acknowledged my brother, through my kids and things like that, but publicly or anybody else, they didn't know I had a brother, let alone that he died from AIDS. And I never hugged him because I was worried about my daughter dying and things like that. And I realized how, hi Tom, and I realized that, wow, what's it going to hurt for me to be vulnerable enough to tell people how ignorant I was and how ashamed I was to say that my brother died from AIDS and his name was Bernard. And I have a great brother, Mark, that died, and they're with my mother. So it's one of those things that this year it's going to be real and raw. And you have no idea how I'm honored to not feel like I'm talking to a stranger, but to have you here to be my co-pilot in this journey with me, Brian. I thank you tenfold. And you're going to hear me say that all the time. And you do bring in my vulnerability to keep me accountable. And so you are a blessing to me. And, you're gonna have the front row seat to all the humor and craziness. You signed up for this, buddy. I don't know where we're going, but we're going, and we're gonna get there. You see, I'm dyslexic. Wait, I want to go this way, but I gotta remember I gotta go that way.
I need to put signs on my wall to point at her. You gotta do it this way.
I know. Last night in my show, when it was New Year's with my social media hubby, I went ahead and I'm like, I tried to give him a kiss.
Oh, that's right. That was declared last night, or made official, that your social media husband is
do
Mark
you know
Rodriguez.
I called him out for being cheap?
You called him out for being cheap?
Yeah, cheap. I said, dude, this ain't right, man. He calls me social media wife, but I didn't get no ring. I didn't get no wedding. I didn't get no specials, whatever. I said, that's cheap. You're just cheap.
He felt like this.
Actually, he shrank on the system. He was.
You remember early on when he talked about like disappearing off the camera? That one effect or whatever. That's probably exactly what he did. He just disappeared.
Yes, he did. He did. So
well, to touch on what you talked about your brother, Lynn, is that our experiences in life shape who we are. Now, the people that have been through, we've all been through stuff. Some people have been through more than others, but you're being a disservice to yourself and other people if you're not bringing that forward, if you're not sharing it, if you're not helping others. I don't care what other people think about me. Yeah. Because I know my heart's in the right place.
Right.
Now, am I 6'3", German and Irish heritage? I got a big shoulder base. I'm a big guy. I look intimidating. Yeah. But if that's going to cause somebody to stop to get to know who I am, that's on them. That's not on me.
Absolutely.
Because I have nothing but love in my heart. I almost died in a car accident. I had to start over. That experience transformed my life. And then my dad passed away 9 months unexpectedly after that. And those two experiences changed my life forever. I remember them just like they happened yesterday.
Absolutely.
But so I don't like resolutions. The one word thing seems kind of trendy or whatever, but does it still last 3 months from now? That's the key, because if it's just little things that kind of get you through the day, but just, like memberships for fitness clubs, right? The people, the management at these fitness clubs know that they don't need to buy more gear because they know that by January 15th, it's going to go back to normal.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, it's funny you say all that because people don't realize that when they're in the situation of saying, I don't want to be accountable to the diet, I don't want to be accountable to this or that. The one thing I found from my word is last night I said I wasn't going to do a word, and I did it this morning. But a year ago I saw the video I did about doing it anyways, and I failed as far as I promised I'd do videos 365 every day. I'd do a video, and you know what, I didn't do that last year.
Right.
But what I ended up doing, though, what did help is I said I was going to do it anyways, and I ended up developing. But what it made me do is made me compromise with myself that maybe this is what you said, maybe this is what you did, let's find a happy medium. So it was in March that I started doing a podcast. And then, of course, the excuse of Corona. I mean, podcast is an inside job. So I really had no freaking excuse, but I stopped doing it and I didn't pick it up again till October. Okay. So again, it was one of those things that I did it anyways. I did do it anyways. I did finish strong. So for me, I feel that the word did help me. It helped me come to terms on how I can make it hurt, not hinder. Like, good example, we're in a habit of saying, oh shit, today's Saturday and I'm going to eat this cake. I'll do this Monday. Then after Monday, oh shit, I'll wait till next Monday. Mondays never come, or this never comes, or that. All we ever have is now. And the fact that right now, if you can say, look, let today be, even though it's Friday or Thursday, today's Monday. Well, if that's what it takes.
Every time that somebody puts that off, they create a story in their head about why they're putting it off. Mm-hmm. And the further that you get away from the actual day that you make that first decision to put it off, it only builds and manifests. That's why it's so difficult neurologically to overcome something that you put off for a long time, is because you have to sift through all that mental garbage, that you went through to get it there in the first place.
Exactly. And people just don't understand. From that point, though, you have to let the inner voice every day that tells you, you know what, you should do that today. You should listen to that. You should listen to the positive ones. And when the negative ones start up, prove that the positive one is where you need to be. Make that your driving force.
One of the worst things that human beings can do is analysis paralysis. Now there are some things in life that people spend more time on. Like investing in a house and a car and things that you don't make spontaneous decisions. You do your research and whatnot, but you don't let it fester there, right? You know what your end goal is, and that's to buy a house, it's to buy a car, that's to buy real estate, whatever it might be. But you haven't reached the outcome until the outcome has been reached. You haven't taken the actions. And I've learned from my personal experiences, a woman that I thought I was going to marry, she broke my heart. It didn't happen. I live with her in the suburbs of Chicago. I got a very big lesson that'll serve me well for the rest of my life in analysis paralysis. You can either be thinking or taking actions at all times. That's it. It's either one of those two boats. It's not both. You're either doing or you're talking about it. And I'm a doer. It's kind of like learning how to play the piano, a guitar, improv. Let's go with improv, because that's something that we know, that we love and know. Yeah. Is that, how do you get good at improv without doing it?
You gotta be consistent. Yeah. You gotta show up.
Well, but you got to have the mindset that you want to do it. Plus, also, though, getting rid or setting aside your logical brain that it's like, raising cracker brownies doesn't make any sense. Like if you're in an improv exercise, because it's not supposed to.
Right.
And I got myself into habit loops about thinking about things and then wondering why they didn't come to fruition, because that's not the way it works. Right. And so it's a practice. It's a daily practice. This is not a one-time thing. It's a day-by-day practice that you work on all the time. So hopefully after a while, whenever you need to do something, you just take action. Plus, you also disrupt the thinking part a bit about how it's going to look. And did I do it perfectly? Are people going to like it? I learned this because I've got 3 books that are in the works right now. And I learned this from author Scott McKain. Amazing guy. This pandemic has brought him closer because of his lives and everything. And I'm going to be doing some intensive training with him, which I'm blessed for.
Oh,
He said, he talked about, I said, he said to me, Brian, anything you put out there, you can't control how people are going to respond to it. You can't. Just like
right.
if you're on stage for an improv show, you can't force people to laugh. If they're going to laugh, they're going to laugh, right? But you can do everything you can to be vulnerable and open and have a heart that you want to be human. You know, you're not putting a shiny bow on a bucket of, on a box full of garbage.
Right.
You're showing up how you are, vulnerable, open. And when people can see that, that also can scare people because they don't really realize that somebody could ever be that in the world, because there's not many of them.
Right.
know?
Oh, I agree. I mean, that's what has stopped me from showing people I'm intuitive or prophetic and all these things, because people assume, I always say, well, shit, what if I told them that and I'm wrong? They're going to look at me nuts and think I'm wrong. And I was worried more about the outcome than the fact that I gave them a message that they come to find out, Lynn, you were right. And wow, and I have and then I've realized, you know what? I've got people that can prove I'm not freaking nuts, that I actually told them this, that they knew, they had the insight before it happened. And I predicted things or whatever before they happened. And so now I can feel better, my ego wise, and realize that now it's my duty to do it in respect, mind you, but I didn't accept that before. I accepted that I'm weird and people are gonna, and I'm not knocking people that call themselves mediums or psychics or things like that. I'm not knocking that, but those are labels I don't want. I don't want any of those labels, because those are not the labels and I struggle because, I believe in Jesus Christ. I mean, I believe in God. So, to me, thinking, anything else was different. But, all I'm trying to say is that I'm going to be authentically me and not worry about what the outcome is anymore, because this past year, and Brian, we've only known each other, I think it's like 2 weeks. And I feel like we're best friends. I seriously do. Gosh, after the things I told you, we're going to stay friends. No, but seriously, what I'm trying to say is that I'm surrounded by enough people that know how genuine I am and how true I am, that I don't give a shit if you that don't know me or think you know me, that if you assume, you're going to make an ass of you, because I'm not worried about it. I'm surrounded by people that love me, know me, trust me. And I just want to be that for you. But if you have issues with it, I'm sorry, you'll have to overcome that. I'm 55. It's taken me a while to accept me, Lynn Eileen. I was born with name Eileen, and I even hid from that. And so, I'm going to, not a rebranding, but I'm going to acknowledge that I am Lynn Eileen, and that's it. And that's who I am. And it's going to be infused into one. And it's taken me 55 years. So if you're younger than that, learn some lessons from me and learn some messages from Brian. That Brian is, he's definitely a guy that stays true to who he is, and he doesn't waver from that. And I truly respect that. And I love that I can get around the rough the edges a little bit and show his tender side, because I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I growing up an only child, I've had to learn from the streets. I've had to learn from other people, and I'm not going to apologize. I mean, I'm not going to make anybody wrong. If something is a little bit challenging to somebody, maybe look for the access, right?
Yeah.
Like a few big, like I said in the interview, is, Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, right? They were visionaries. They were people that saw things even before the world even knew what it was. And it's like, some of those people exist in the world, and they don't care what other people think, because they see something that they can't express in words what it is. And the world is so much filled with noise. Who is right? Who is wrong? Who's truthful? Who's not? Who's authentic? And who is not true to themselves? It's just to try to sell a book or whatever. And it's like, to me, character is huge. Now, I've been in a military family. I was never in the military by myself, but I've studied a lot of military people in terms of their books, their philosophies, their conduct. And it just amazes me about how in civilian life, people can get away with being inauthentic and not truthful and not honest every day of their life. But when you look at a military mindset, you wouldn't even probably enter the military if that was the case. And
there was the baby boomers, and then there was me. I'm the beginning of Generation X. And, you were to be seen and not heard.
right.
And so that was ingrained in me. But I always knew I was special and beautiful from inside, not from the outside. I also knew I had to protect the inner child of myself that truly was afraid of all the negative and ugly people I was surrounded myself with. And like I said, I was segregated from, Puerto Ricans, and with the the people that I had to survive and learn. I learned to love my enemies at a very young age. And I learned that it was their ignorance, that they're still good people. They just didn't know any better.
Yep.
So when I say I hid my light, I didn't hide it because I was ashamed or this or that. I did it because I went from Long Island to Syracuse, New York. I went to a different middle school every year. People didn't accept me. I got into bodybuilding so I could defend myself. I was sexually abused and was told I was never going to be anything. I was humiliated when I moved from Long Island to Syracuse, sixth grade teacher. I divulged this in my vulnerability video this morning, but sixth grade teacher said I would never amount to anything. And he'd have me up at this front of the class. He'd make me cry. And I mean, it was just a humiliating experience that when I went to a middle school, I changed my name because I figured if I changed my name, nobody would know what those kids in sixth grade. Okay, so we moved from one end of town, sixth grade. Well, we moved all the way across town. So I'm in seventh grade. I'm like, oh, good, they don't know me here. So I'm just going to go Lynn, and that's that. Well, shit, my mom moved this across town. I ended up with the friends from sixth grade and eighth grade. And I was going by Lynn, and they're like, they must have thought I had a split personality, but I was like, okay, you guys, yeah, I was picked on, and let's not go there, kind of thing. I had to, have a couple fights and prove who I was. And so then from eighth grade, I left those people, and they still knew me as Eileen though. But then I went to the other school for ninth grade. And so what was weird was the eighth grade people and the ninth grade, we funneled into the same high school. Mm-hmm. And so then people would come out and say, hey, Eileen Serrano? Wait, Lynn Serrano? No, this is not the same person. And so then I'll tell you a story. In eighth grade, though, it was funny. So I was a bad girl. In eighth grade, I did something really stupid, and we decided to go back to school and forge our names. And I didn't know that alcohol smelled on your breath when you're talking to a guidance counselor, but that's a story for another time. But anyways, I'm being vulnerable, right? That is my word. You're going to keep me accountable. So here I am. The truth comes out. But anyways, so we were getting suspended, and the principal called my friend's mom, and my friend was scared shitless of going home to meet her mom. She goes, Lynn, you need to go with me. My mom's going to be really mad. We get to her house, and I'll try not to say her name to protect herself, but we get over to her house. Yeah, right. It's a her. We get to her house, and her mom's super nice. Hi, Lynn. How are you? Sit down here. And I'm thinking, Lord, oops. She looks over, and she's like, gosh, my mom's not pissed at all that we got suspended. And I'm such like, Lynn, get something to drink. And that is a lot. And then she goes, and I don't want to say her name, but I kind of said it. And then she goes, I'll just say Brian. I'll be like, Brian, who's this girl Eileen that you got suspended with? She goes, Mom, it's Lynn. No, they said it was Eileen that you got in trouble with. She goes, no, it's her. She goes, you get out of my house and don't call her. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. So yeah, because it wasn't officially changed. I just had that as my nickname, Lynn. So, but yeah, it one of those things. So yeah,
Yeah,
another story.
when I was growing up, I've been doubted my whole life. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 11 years old, and that was, but just that was before Napster, that was before the internet. I mean, the computer that was in popularity was Gateway. The cow boxes, right? Gateway Computer
Yeah,
Company. That
yep,
was
yep.
the.
I had one. I had the little.
I
I
mean,
have the stuffed animal too. They
those
used to give you.
and CD burners. Yeah, those were the days, right? Like CD burners. Ooh. Um, Go piracy, right? No, I'm just kidding. And when I was when I was young, I mean 11 years old, I've been doubting my whole life. That it's like, how can somebody so young have such a vision and see things and whatnot? And in athletics, I didn't take no crap from anybody. You know, I was there every day working just as hard as anybody else, and I would be second string or whatever. Eventually, I'm like, hey, I'm done. Like I'm working just because my parents' name wasn't on a dealership, or my parents didn't donate a lot of money to the PTA or whatever, is should not make the whole politics of that
Yeah,
should not come in the way of somebody that is truly committed to a sport. And they what they don't have in talent, they make up for in skill, which they work at relentlessly.
right.
And I just found, business ownership and entrepreneurship as being my thing. And I remember some of my coaches where I would tell them flat out that this isn't right. This isn't ethical, right? Where people are showing up every day working just as hard as anybody else, but they're overlooked. And I said, you know what? If you don't want to look at me as a regular player, well, then I'll go and do something else. All of a sudden, then I got their attention because I'm not playing along and I'm not playing the games of your rules, you know? And now when I see some of those coaches and whatnot today, I'll be cordial and whatnot, but it's like, man, that was so many years ago. And why should I be nice to you when you were not nice to me? You know,
But
it doesn't work that way,
you know what, Brian, though, your spirit is the strong will spirit. And what's
Yeah.
really cool about that is, you came to this world with putting your flag down and who you are, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I also love to see that you needed to go through that accident and losing your dad to realize it humbles you down to realize, dude, that's a great temperament to have, but not all the time. You got to knock that facade down. And I'm glad that you can correct yourself and realize that, you're not perfect in how your belief system's set, because none of us are. But the
Exactly.
fact that you understand that, hey, I love, if we could I want to have school someday where if kids can keep their wills intact. I mean, we got to keep them safe from a fire or burning themselves or this and that. But the creativity that's taken away from children's wills to build them where they need to be, your brain's not even developed till you're 25. So, but it's so crucial till they're 8 years old to let them be that core, and then discipline from there, I believe. And so to whatever gift naturally. I mean, to believe it or not, when I was little, I was a writer. I mean, I wrote like so much, and so much shit's happened in life that it's kept me away from it because I've not wanted to open those Pandora boxes and write. So I think that's where we're connected too, because it is very soothing to be writing and to be in your element. But I always struggled with dyslexia because I write stuff and it's backwards. I've got to do double work. It's backward. And I even do it with my posts. Sometimes I say, you will want to miss this, when I mean you won't want to miss this, So now I just find humor in it and say, you know what, that's not what I meant to be. If somebody takes it for verbatim, that's why I did it, then they're not my people, because it's a joke. Lynn puts jokes in her writing, I guess.
Exactly.
It's raw writing. I guess you could call.
Well, my dad instilled a quote into me that will forever be with me. And he goes, Brian, and I quote, whatever is right might not always be popular, but what is popular might not always be right. And there's a lot of conformity. Why are you conforming? Oh, because it's for this. I've never been that way. I've never been a conformist. Call it drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm going to look at everything from my point of view. How many people have an authentic voice in those groups that they're in, that they're a part of, where they can speak their mind, they can be themselves and not feel like they're lumped together, where there's a group voice, but there's not an individual voice. Right. I've never been that way. I've always been, the outsider looking in, like the lonely wolf, so to speak. But I do that because I want to have my own authentic thoughts and views. Well, nobody's controlling what's getting up in here for me.
I love how God putting us together, you see, and this isn't my excuse, but this is the way I interpret it for myself, for my survival, right? My thing is that I didn't get to be my authentic self. I worked on fixing my accent. Now, mind you, I do have my accent and it does come out like Rosie Perez sometimes. And I think you've heard it. When I'm relaxed, it comes out. But I did that because it becomes a focus point. Oh, she said the dogs, and the coffee. And it's like that. It pisses me off, really, because I'm like, okay, I'll speak the way you can understand because I have a point to give you. I've always been the one paddling up the freaking stream. They didn't tell me I was a salmon and I had to go down river. I'm freaking trying to go up river, so I don't want to die, right? So the analogy I'm trying to tell you is here, I was placed in positions and places where I'm Puerto Rican. I have a voice and I would love to stand up for the rights of others. However, I had to learn the hard way that sometimes being and speaking is not the right time, because I had to listen. I had to learn how to love the enemies and the ignorant people so that I could see that I can love everyone. That's why I don't try to get into politics, not because I don't have a side. My friends know my side, this and that. It's because I'm here on this earth to make sure people understand that we need to love each other no matter what. Our time, we're all going to freaking die, people. And I don't like that about this world. And the fact that if, Brian, I'm going to hold against you one little thing that I don't like that you said that I disagree and you die tomorrow, I'm not going to remember that. I'm going to remember that I never told you I love you, how much you mean to me, and we're not celebrating you. That's why my other show is about celebrating people while they're here. I'm giving them their own live funeral or whatever the hell, celebration or whatever. But again, I think I've humbled my friends my friends didn't even know I was Puerto Rican until Facebook. And I started calling myself the Puerto Rican goddess. And they're like, Puerto Rican goddess? I've never seen her hang with the other Latino kids. I mean, I feel bad I didn't stand up that way, but I had to survive in my own stuff that I was going through. So, see, everybody wants to go to heaven, but we don't want to die to get there. Exactly. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And here's another one. Any of your voice is amazing to inspire others. I have learned a lot from you. Well, thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that. But and yes, the two of us love what we share. Well, that's just it. He and I are so different, but yet I respect and know where he's coming from. And I think he knows and respects where I'm coming from. And that's why we're like a yin and yang, I believe, because I know that you're not going to be upset what I'm saying because you respect me as a person, and vice versa. And yet we can have the conversations that we're on both. It's like, we're on two different party politics, but we are bipartisan. We are definitely right in the middle of saying, you know what, all the shit, we all have ways we look at things, but we got to break out of the way we look at things and know that nothing's wrong here. Nobody's right or wrong here.
Well, there's no judgments or assessments. It's a point of view, it's life experiences, and you share it, right?
Absolutely.
And the more comfortable you feel, the more you will share.
Absolutely.
Everybody has to be themselves before be yourself and never anybody else. Right. It's interesting that people will condemn others when they've never walked a mile or a step in their shoes.
Yeah.
It's like when somebody's dealing with something, they want to condemn them. They want to make fun of them. They want to do whatever without ever checking in to really understand what's going on with them. And I'm not talking the surface level information like, hey, how you doing? No, This is 3 or 4 levels below that if you truly care. Otherwise, you're going to continue with your assessments, your judgments. They look a certain way, blah, 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 blah.
And I agree with that. There's so much stereotypical stuff, but you know what? People have made millions and millions of dollars with comedy shows and trauma and dramatic series and all this shit. And you know what people don't realize when they watch this stuff and soap operas? Because yeah, I watch Young and the Restless, and I like that they have the format of business entrepreneurial stuff. I focus on that, and they have a very good vocabulary. I mean, there's and people's behavior. So yeah, I do watch that for many different dramatic experiences. But I just laugh because you guys, like Brian said, you feed the Kool-Aid of watching the stuff, but do you not understand that these are different perspectives, that they truly took people's real lives, put it on the screen to teach us lessons, and you don't leave that theater realizing the lessons there. You guys are just not realizing how you can transform your life. You want to be just in that whole mindset of thinking, drama and this and that. And people, let go of the shit. Just be you. And
Well, when you look at like somebody's intention, like somebody's intention for everything they do, what is there most consistently? Is it to get you to buy something? Is it to share a message, a point of view? What do they want you? What are they selling? Right. I know that to some people that's a bad word. And, we see an average of 5,000 different solicitations visually every day. But it's like, what is somebody trying to impart to you?
Yeah.
And aside alone from the person, look at the words. Because I think a lot of people get held up in, oh, I don't like that person.
Right.
And they never look at the message.
Right. Yeah, I want to talk about Ernest here and what he's got to say. But before that, I want to say this. Sincerely, the fact that I do everything to run from the motive behind anything, but I've gotten to a point now that I realize that I've got to stay home. I got to blah, blah, blah. And to monetize really has been bothering me until today. I mean, like, if I'm going to be honest, this is my passion now. I don't want to become commercialized, but I'm going to just start doing a PayPal me. Whoever wants a sponsor to help me keep paying for my StreamYard and paying for the graphics I do and things like that. That's got to come from somewheres, I mean, so you got to live, and you got to, but that was not my reason to come here. I've never told anybody that I'm struggling, and that's not the reason. I actually found my passion and my voice to be able to say things. And I love this here. If you want to fly
with eagles, you got to give.
You want to read it out loud, Brian? So I don't
Sure. If you want to fly with eagles, you got to give up that shit that keeps you down. Hate is such a negative emotion that it kills people. Absolutely.
Is this one of your friends? I don't recognize him. Thank you.
Ernest. He's on Jeffrey's broadcast. He's on
Abby's a friend. I like you already. I love
Ernest is great.
You want to read these?
Sure. From Sandy, environment has an impact, but we need to get past that. Get out of your way to grow. Absolutely, Sandy. Is that the only person there is no group of people that's in our way. What we see in the mirror every day is the only thing in our way. That's it. And we confront our self-limiting beliefs, our belief system, and who we are in the world. All of it is within ourselves and how we think. That's our limitation.
Oh, this was sweet.
Yeah, I'm sure it turned me to, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm honored. And I thank you so much for sharing. Sharing is caring.
Thank you, Ernest.
And I that's just it. I want to find like-minded people that, but I always felt finding like-minded people, singing to the choir all the time. I never felt good with that because I felt that was very hypocrite. You're going to sit there and talk in the choir and you're not going to go impact other people. And for a story for another time, because we're going to run out of time here soon. But, I'll have to tell you the story of how 450 hypocrite Baptist people just decided to shun me and get rid of me. I've been casted away many times in my life. And that's not why I stay quiet. I've stayed quiet because I've learned to analyze all the hypocrites, all the bureaucratic bullshit out there. And it's my time now to say, you know what, I still love you guys. And now you're going to know who I am. and what you labeled me and how you treated me, you are so wrong to misjudge me. And I know, Brian, again, look how connected we are. We have been misunderstood creatures that God put us together, buddy. Like, can I get a high five? Like, oh man, I did. You know what? You got to get on TikTok because we're gonna bust some moves over there, buddy. Brian doesn't know this, but we're gonna start doing some TikTok stuff so that we can end up, instead of me having to use my standby.
I may not be TikTok famous, but I have never posted a video of me shaking my butt for likes.
And if the beat live, you know Lil Juke made it. Yaddy, 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 yaddy.
See, we're gonna make our own shit over here, and we're gonna have fun. And we want to bring you guys with our journey. We want to truly, authentically be ourselves and make you think you thought you knew us, but you didn't know us till our show, right? Wouldn't you say that, Brian?
I need to start practicing my dance moves if we're going to do that. So I got to get working on that.
We got to get you prepared because someday you're going to have a wedding and I'll be at your wedding and I'm going to officiate. I already know that. So we got to get your dance moves so that, you know what? I hope she's not listening to this part. We're going to have to like we're going to have to start now. We're going to have to practice. We're going to have to do our own wedding tribute at your wedding. I mean, these are goals. This will help me achieve.
We need Mark as our referee. He's got to have a referee jersey on.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Hey, you know, I was in theater, so we'll definitely have a production. And again, with your production, I mean, like God, so many parables here. I cannot even tell you.
All life, as they say, all life is a stage.
Absolutely, Shakespeare. Okay, there, you want to read that?
Okay, so Ernest says, if you haven't been successful in pissing off the hypocrites, hang on, Buttercup, because I'm just oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
boom.
This is
boom,
my year, baby.
Boom,
this is
boom.
And Ernest,
well said, Ernest.
Like I said, man, people are gonna we're gonna be like a Netflix series. I'm calling this right now. We're like, shit, I gotta go back from when they started because we're gonna keep building our lives and this and that, and you're going to be late to the party someday, and you're going to realize you're going to have to watch all these editions to get caught up, right? Right? Is that what we're going to do?
We're going to see our dance moves progress, you know. Through the
how did we do this week?
Just be like, wow, I didn't even know I could stretch that way, you know. Like,
well, I know I can, and I can't talk about.
There's one more thing I wanted to talk about before we end here this morning. And it touches on what you talked about monetization. Our society has gotten to a position where people are skeptical. I got it, but it's like, which makes it difficult for people that just want to understand other people, like in the business world, right? Is that people that just want to have a conversation with no agenda, you know, our world, the way that we're wired as people is ruined. In my opinion, until something is there to disrupt it, that there is people that just want to have a conversation to see if this is a good fit, if there is a connection, if there's even an opportunity for somebody to help somebody. You know what I mean? Instead of always being like, okay, well, what are they going to try to sell me? Our society has created us to think that way, unfortunately. And it's not fair I get it. It's not fair, but it doesn't make it right for people that have nothing but goodness in their heart that want to help. They're not given the opportunity because of what society has deemed, you know, and put in their brains that, you know, wow, let's just throw that aside and just have a conversation. It's almost like they assume so much even before there's ever a word said, if it's a business environment, you know.
Can I just say, even if we impact one person, and I know we have, and even if anything, I get so much out of spending time with you, and I hope you feel that it's evenly yoked because it's a blessing to me. And the fact that we're sharing the world, our friendship and talking, I'm freaking going to love this. I'm going to love that. I'm like, Brian, we can't talk until we're live. Because I'll tell you what, we have nuggets. We have film on the floor that nobody's ever going to see already. And it's sad. It really is sad because it should have been recorded because we get together and we're like, oh, you know, so I think every day, Brian, you can't talk to me till after our show.
Yeah, I got a couple pages of notes already that I just kind of keep in a binder, you know. Oh, look at Ernest getting on TikTok here. The last time I danced on TikTok looked like something out of a Barnum and Bailey circus routine. I was the elephant, LOL.
You know
Excellent.
what?
Excellent.
Ernest, I need to find you on TikTok because you know what? I would love to do a duet with you because let me tell you, I can really laugh at myself. And it's going to be a year of me being vulnerable and laughing at myself and saying, why did I have to be so transparent to tell people all my laundry? Well, you know, it's just what God's telling me to do. And that's what I think I'm going to do. So Sandy says, so many think, okay, what do you want me?
Yep.
Yeah, from me.
You know, and Sandy, to further your point, it's like maybe you've witnessed this, maybe you haven't, but it's like if somebody just says, hey, I have no agenda, you know,
They're bullshitting.
You know, I'm not trying to propose a solution. I'm not going over figures. I just want to see if we're compatible, if I can help you. And I think that it's a combination of the generations today, but also that nobody can be trusted at first glance. And I get that, but it's really sad because if somebody is really authentic and that is their true commitment, is that they just want to see if there's a connection without a sale, without any money on the table, that's a lost art today. People do a double take and they think you're weird or different if you show up that way.
And listen, I've done almost 40 shows between this and that and blah, blah, blah. I wanted to see if I really was going to be committed or if I had a passion or why I was doing this. Because I could have all along asked everybody for their emails. I could have asked for money before now. I could have done all that stuff. I needed you to see who I am. And if you want to support and get these shows, I got to keep the lights on, you know, so it is different. But, you know, I didn't make this, oh, let me go open a bank account. Let me go register this. Let me go do this. Oh, let me get the YouTube advertisement. Let me get this Facebook. Let me do all this marketing. Let me get my website up. Let me get my blog up. I mean, that was all bullshit to me because I trust that I've been blessed all along. And I was blessed this year, I've got to say, you guys, for as hard time I was having. I have a $200 camera I got as a gift. I've got this green screen behind me that Laura Smith got me, $164, and a friend, Brian, that got me this mic. Okay? I'm up to snuff here, and I didn't pay for any of that. And I'm so humbled. You know what Steve said about my camera? He said, Lynn, thank you for letting me invest in you and your podcast.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve.
I mean, that truly, in a year ago, he wanted to invest in what he saw I would be doing. And I was like, oh, no way. I was too prideful. I'm a prideful Puerto Rican girl that doesn't go and get food stamps. I'm prideful. But, you know, I realized that if I'm going to do good, I got to receive and vice versa. So
you can't have one without the other. You can't give without
being
open to receiving.
I know. And that's, I don't receive compliments well or this or that. And, you know, being 55 and trying to date and having guys, you know, think I'm beautiful, but I'm too fat kind of thing. You know, it's been hard, but, you know, that's okay because I can lose fat and I will. But I thank God that I have them off my dating possibilities for when I look good. So thank you so much for authentically showing me you are an asshole because you think I'm hot, but I'm not when it comes to that. So thank you so much for inspiring me. Yeah. Be careful how you inspire people. Absolutely. So
I'm still trying to figure out TikTok. I think the dance routine was an accident.
I love you know, I got to follow you. Please add me. And let's see here. Brian and I are already friends. I sent you a friend. I've got that. I thank God that you came our way. You guys, this has been awesome. We've got to wrap this up beforehand. But Brian, any last quick words?
Get busy. Get working. If you're working on your video game, press record. Press it again. Work through the bugs of where you're uncomfortable with yourself, looking in the camera, doing your thing. Live your truth. I'm going to say that a million times this year because if you're not yourself, you're not really living your own identity. So live your truth every single day. Be disruptive, love people, and get it done.
And I love that you say that, because I tell people that leave a piece of you here for when you leave. So recording and videotaping yourself is so important, not for you. It's not about you. It's about the people that you leave behind. So these great little comments here, we're running a little over, but you know what? We can do what we want.
Yeah.
And oh, I'm sorry, I meant this one. You're right.
You're so right when they don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they you know what? Enough people that I love know my heart, and the rest of you are either going to be on the train or you're not, and that's fine with us.
And you shouldn't have to. And when your heart is out there, they either see it or they don't. They're either open to harmonizing with it and seeing what's there or not. It's not for you to do anything other than being yourself to make that available.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day, and we're going to be back on Monday.
Bye, everyone.
Right?
Yes,
Right?
Monday.
Okay.
Monday.
Bye, you guys.